today to us. Today I'll be presenting about my final project, which is the distance learning, and I'll be starting with the introduction. So, distance learning are a form of education in which the use of various technologies to facilitate student-teacher or employer and employee communication. Distance learning traditionally has focused on non-traditional students such as full-time workers, military personnel, and non-resident workers or individuals in remote regions who are unable to attend classroom lectures. However, distance learning has become an established part of the educational world, with trends pointing to ongoing growth. Since distance learning programs don't require you to be physically present in a classroom or follow a predefined timetable, you are free to set your own schedule. Distance education provides you the flexibility to complete your coursework from anywhere, at any time, and at your own pace. So it's easy to employer to train and supervise the remote residence worker that couldn't join their class. Despite how great is the distance learning for workers and students, there are some pros and cons of the distance learning for people who are undertaking the distance learning. But first, we'll start with the objectives. So the first one would be flexibility in learning. The flexible learning provides students with total control and accountability for their learning. Rather than showing up to a class as a requirement, they can decide and allocate time for their learning. This control allows them to coordinate their education around their commitments and ensures that they are learning at the best time. For example, some students may work better in the evening, but traditional education may restrict them by only offering classes during the day. And flexible learning allows the student to decipher when and how they will learn by tailoring their course to their capabilities. This ultimately leads to them retaining information and producing better results. Flexible learning has shifted the entire focus of education from the instructor's teaching onto the student's learning. Students were previously required to listen in class and then memorize information for a final exam. However, flexible learning is forcing institutions to rethink how students are being taught and whether this traditional teaching method is ultimately beneficial. The flexibility of online learning allows for more self-discipline and helps students gain life skills that they can later implement within the workplace. This is something that is often neglected in traditional education, whereby students do not prioritize self-growth while having to attend classes constantly. Being able to demonstrate that they have acquired these skills through online learning and ultimately contribute to the student acquiring a more senior position within an organization. Therefore, flexibility itself has an enormous impact on how students are learning, so its alluring nature has complete validity. Providing an individual with the option of how they learn is integral to their success. And the second objective would be an easy access, whether due to remote location or being differently able. Some students lack immediate access to educational facilities. Remote learning programs offer every student the opportunity to learn and improve themselves in the environment they find the most effective. Remote learning also opens up a new horizons of education in terms of international institutions, and major university and trade schools worldwide offer recognized degrees, certificates, and professional qualification online to learners of all ages. And advances in technology now allow students to study entirely online while still socializing with classmates, watching lectures, and participate in subject-specific discussions. While some consider online learning to require a greater degree of self-motivation, institutions recognize that educational support is just as important as tutor feedback and take great care to ensure that their students receive the same levels of support that they would receive on campus. The third objective will be the lifelong learning trends. So as the world is progressing, lifelong learning is increasingly accepted and appreciated for various unique market opportunities. Gone are those days when higher education services only accepted traditional learning age from 18 to 24. Now, people belonging to any age group can be enrolled to work in more lucrative markets. Capitalization of emerging market opportunities has led to more online institutions that can generate large revenue. The whole canvas of institutional learning has been changed with distance learning programs. Now, most institutions are technically challenged to accept and adapt to online learning methods to service increasingly competitive learning environments. Distance learning has no doubt powered the whole process as it surpasses borders and geographical or cultural constraints. Other factors largely responsible for fueling distance education include the fulfillment of a lifelong urge for learning. It offers people the opportunity to equip themselves with dynamic world knowledge by keeping it a hobby or a source of personal growth. The trend of lifelong learning are appreciated by teachers and professors who always want to keep themselves updated with a modern and ever-changing world's landscape of knowledge. The fourth objective would be the ease of use. In distant learning, simplicity is the most important thing and key to online learning. Because of that, there are many system and user-friendly apps that can be used by the teachers to teach their students. To ease the teacher's burden, app nowadays has include a clear interface and a set of certain essential features like digital whiteboarding and notation, media creation and sharing, and indirect student to teacher communication. And without such professional support, a great deal of your time as a teacher or tutor will be spent on technical issues. And to be blunt, if you do not have easy and convenient access to such support, it would be wise to not to get heavily committed to technology-based teaching until that support is available. So the last objective would be web-based courses and classes. Many different types of technology has been used to enhance online learning. Special computer programs, high-speed internet, and webcam broadcasting technology are just a few of the modern technologies utilized in distance learning. As a result, learning opportunities that never existed for people living in distant or rural areas can obtain a college education or specialized job training. Students often interact with teachers using video conferencing, satellite, and internet technology. They can also communicate with other students enrolled in the same course using modern telecommunications technology. Since students can complete courses wherever the internet is accessible, many often take time during a work break or stay in a hotel during a business trip to complete their schoolwork. Or in this case, workers try to complete their training program. The flexibility of distance learning is one of the main appeals of this program. So let's move on with the importances of distance learning in training or teaching students. So the first one would be the cost savings education or training. As many companies faces the need to update their existing training program, they consider adding e-learning to the set of tools they currently use. For companies looking for implement a new training program, the benefits of e-learning significantly outweigh those of one-on-one facilitation or classroom learning. However, many companies shy away from employing e-learning instruction out of unwillingness to face high initial development costs. While the short-term e-learning development cost may be high, e-learning can end up saving companies a huge chunks of training and development budgets by eliminating major instructor-led training expenses. An online training system minimizes various costs that are typically associated with indirect training. This includes traveling and accommodation, meal costs, classroom maintenance, venue rental, printed learning materials, and salaries for instructors and other support staff. With outdated training, updating existing and producing new learning materials can be costly and quite time-consuming. Online training platforms allow teachers to update essential lesson plans and text documents easily and quickly, and because they remain online, companies can save big on printing costs and training costs. The second point would be effective learning. Online learning has been proved to be effective for both students and teachers, as well as in training workers. It also been proved to be effective for employers to give out training to remote residence workers. When people studied online, they tend to study at their own pace rather than rushing to keep up with their tutors or classmates. If they miss some information or not clear with the information, they simply replay videos or reread details of the information that been given by them. This could be done as often and many times as they need, and means that retention is typically much higher. While when learning in person, people tend to struggle to digest information thoroughly because of distractions around them or not being able to see or hear properly. By learning online, people can put earphones to distinguish the sounds that surround them, and people can concentrate better and stop to look up unfamiliar terms or other information as required without worry they miss anything. And the next one would be social distancing. So we live in an era of a pandemic, and social distancing are important nowadays. And we are all familiar with the measures we've taken to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Although commonly called social distancing, we prefer to think of it as physical distancing, keeping at least 2 meters away from others. After all, it's important that we maintain our social ties to our friends and family. Uh, organization doesn't need to slow down its professional development due to changes you have made because of COVID-19. And distance learning is the best way to educate your workforce while social distancing measures are in place. It is unknown how long measures will be in place, and embracing distance learning today may provide your organization with the edge to compete. Distance learning provides great opportunities for classroom participation. Effective facilitators can use a broad range of strategies to teach the material, and people interact through class discussion, group work, and group assignments. The fourth point would be serving different learning styles. Not every person learns the same way. Some might retain knowledge through videos, others might prefer written notes, and some might need realistic opportunities for practice before they truly grasp a new skill. One of the greatest benefits of e-learning for employee training and development is that you have a world of content formats at your fingertips. Videos, notes, infographics, games, and other content types make e-learning engaging for everyone. Plus, by having a variety of different types of assessments like quizzes and case studies, you can engage learners as they progress through training. And more engagement is a sure sign that employees will want to complete their course. The last point for this part would be collaboration and community building. So learning can be lonely, but it should be a social exercise because employees often learn more through interaction with their peers than they do from reading a book. Bringing employees together could lead to debates and discussion that in turn lead to innovation. The good news is that e-learning doesn't have to be an individual journey because community and collaboration are actually benefits of online training. Through features like discussion forums and live tutorials, employees can have access to others in the learning community. Engagement with other employees fosters collaboration and team culture, which has benefits beyond the training environment. With an e-learning program, organizations can deliver the same content in the same way to all their employees around the world. Not only will employees attend the same live sessions and watch the same videos, but they will be able to interact and other team members that they do not have access to in the physical office. Okay. And then I'll be talking about the literature review. So the first article that I found was titled as Key Benefits of Online Learning for Employees and Businesses. This article explained on the key elements of increasing employee management by using e-learning. People need to continually learning and see that they have the opportunity to move up the career ladder and try new things. And as HR managers, it is important to encourage your workforce to learn new skills, keep up on the latest trends, develop leadership abilities, and more. It is no secret that several technology have given HR the tools to provide a wide-ranging training experience for employees. In They also provide an outline of benefits to try out online learning for your employees and staff in the business. Most online learning programs can be customized, which is incredibly handy for organizations, and you're not only logged in to set training but can instead tweak lessons according to different offices, workers, cultures, and other factors. Online lessons are more scalable than in-person ones and can be kept up to date and relevant more easily too. Then the second article that I found was the obvious and not so obvious benefits of online employee training. So this article tells about the benefits of e-learning in the workplace are more than enough to convince you to take your staff training online. And now all you need to do now is how to make your employee training and development work and watch your people and business thrive. With an e-learning program, organizations can deliver the same content the same way to all of their employees around the world. Not only will employees attend the same live sessions and watch the same videos, but they will be able to interact with other team members that they do not have access to in the physical office. Timely and automated feedback is valuable not just for employees but for their managers and business too. This is because it reduces the need for manual feedback and grading. And the third article would be the benefits of distance learning for employees. It becomes obvious that distance learning has much to offer as a training method when compared with the rigid structure of classroom-based teaching. This truly is learning for the modern age and is only predicted to grow in popularity as the mainstay of workplace training. Distance learning can be facilitated by a tutor or unfacilitated where the student is entirely independent. It can also take place online or offline, with the latter including mobile technologies. Some courses even combine these techniques with varying levels of face-to-face teaching to offer a blended or mixed approach. For example, it's useful to be familiar with the terms synchronous and asynchronous training. The former requires the teacher and student to interact simultaneously and may involve web seminars, phone calls, and video conferencing. In contrast, asynchronous learning allows students to complete work at a time of their choosing. And the fourth article is the purpose and aim of distance education. So distance learning is highly preferred in the corporate world where employees want to advance in their jobs by adding extra courses to their resume. In highly competitive corporate markets, a broad range of services are demanded. These include scientific training and instructional training as well. In order to cope with ever-increasing employee demands, this learning proved to be a good part-time solution. The whole canvas of institutional learning has been radically transformed with distance learning programs. Now, most institutions are technically challenged to accept and adapt to online learning methods in order to service increasingly competitive learning environments. Distance learning has no doubt powered the whole process as it surpasses borders and geographical and cultural constraints. And the last article would be reasons why e-learning development costs less than traditional training. This article stated that unlike traditional in-person learning methods, e-learning encourages fast learners to complete their training sooner, which in turn helps improve productivity and save personal time. In short, the long-term cost of e-learning is significantly lower as compared to in-person training because business can save money on employee and trainer level, infrastructure and classroom maintenance, facilitator salaries, documentation, and paper costs. E-learning expenses are usually a one-time occurrence since the same material can be used for multiple learning sessions. You can compare the cost of e-learning to the amount you are spending on instructor-led facilitation, and you might very well realize that you will end up saving money in the long term by switching to e-learning. So I'll be talking the next part I'll be talking about the problems in distance learning. There are some problems in distance learning, one of which is firstly distractions. Distractions are a reality of remote work, and they become even more of an issue when it comes to remote training. A parcel delivery or a pet running into the home office is just a distraction if a learner is answering emails, but he or she is in the middle of a virtual classroom session. It's disruptive for everyone involved. This could lead learners to more misinformation about their study and could cause them to not focus during a lesson. The next problem would be staying motivated. Cognitive overload and perceived difficulty of course learning tasks can increase learner anxiety and decrease learner motivation to learn in online settings. Convenience and flexibility of learning can have a paramount influence on the learner's motivation for online learning. Technical difficulties and communication breakdowns demotivate and might cause learners to drop out of an online course. The presence or the absence of social interaction in on the online learning environment can have mixed impacts on the motivation of online learners. The level of interaction with learning materials is significantly associated with learners' motivation in online learning environments. And lastly, uh, academic discipline in an asynchronous learning environment, there is a certain amount of social pressure and regulation. Students have to show up on time, with homework done, and guided through their learning like in an in-person classroom. In this means students are accountable to their teacher and peers to be productive members of the class. On the other hand, asynchronous learning does not provide the same sense of accountability as students are working through the class material and learning independently. Some students are self-disciplined and have no problem with the independence of distance learning, while others may feel a little lost. We can help by establishing a structure and routine for completing classwork and studying. Executive function skills are essential to success in academics and life, but we are not born with them. So lastly, about the solution to the problem. Despite of the problem that most people face during their distance learning, fret not, there are solutions to the problems. For example, scheduling problems. A thought of approach to your training schedule will enable all learners to access remote learning on a day and time that works for them, but it's easier said than done. Fighting with multiple spreadsheets and email chains is time that you could be spending on your content, and your learning management system or LMS likely has a calendar function that can help you manage and schedule all of the training activities. Rather than having your training attendance confirmations and other important information across multiple platforms and files, the LMS can organize everything easily and quickly and automate invitations. If you don't have an LMS, see if you can leverage the scheduling and calendar functions built into a popular webinar software and business apps. And then the next point is how to avoid distractions. So developing a daily routine to complete your schoolwork online or your training online is a great way to avoid distractions. By establishing and sticking to an online study schedule, you can make sure that you are focused during times you plan to do your homework or training, resulting in better productivity. Nothing is worse than having constant pings, buzzes, whistles, and bells throw off your concentration. And if you are someone who can't help but check their phone or social media every time a notification comes through, you probably know the frustration of spending 2 hours on schoolwork only to find that you've made very little progress. To alleviate yourself of these distractions, make sure to temporarily silence all non-essential notifications when you are working online. That includes application on your phone, tablet, computer, and any other personal electronics that could be considered distracting. And lastly, maintaining discipline during e-learning. To maintain discipline during e-learning, we need to set ourselves some goals that we could follow. Set short-term and long-term goals and allow yourself to celebrate on completion of these goals by rewarding yourself with your favorite dessert or taking a short break to listen to your favorite song. Little things like this will keep you motivated. Your goals can be linked to complete mastery of a topic or attempting a practice test. The idea is to keep learning and accomplishing things. Just as self-discipline is key to effective learning in an online environment, the importance of enjoying the flexibility that online learning provides cannot be undermined. You now have the option of attending live classes from your favorite couch or being back, so why not grab it? Take small break to be with your pet or simply take a walk around the house before you sit down and study again. And if you're not well prepared, online education can present some unique challenges too. One of the biggest challenges is to maintain discipline. To make the most of an online learning environment, students must work on their self-discipline. They need to reduce the possibility of distractions and to be able to manage their time effectively.